the NECA Crypt Club, featuring the Universal monsters. It's Dracula with his red casket, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein. You can collect this awesome Universal Monsters Crypt Club 4-pack, new from NECA.
Okay, not a lot from the usual suspects today, but I have a sneaking suspicion that they'll be a lot more prominent in the upcoming weeks or month because of cons, events, days that end with the word day, but that doesn't mean there's nothing to talk about today. There's things that caught my eye this week because I'm Robo. This here's the rewind. Let's start off with a little update to the Wandering Planet Toys Laurel and Hardy Kickstarter. To celebrate funding, they've added the Lodge accessory set containing fezzes and banners with the word California on them. These work the same way as the hats do, where the hair is sculpted to the fez, so when you swap it on, it looks a lot more natural. I know by themselves, it's like, oh man, why is there a wig up inside that fez? But from an action figure standpoint, it makes complete sense. Unless you want them holding fezzes, or using the fezzes as a prop somewhere. Then you have that wackiness to deal with. I still think this is the better way to go, though. These are available for both the full color and the monochromatic versions of the two figures, so pick your poison. There's about 20 days left on the campaign, so you have a little time to think about it, but considering our short lifespans as we just ride along on this spinning marble in space, it's not a lot of time. So if you're interested in this, the link is in the description. Since we're talking about action figures we already knew about, here's the latest look at the Ramen Toy 80s Commander's antagonist scientist. Ace posted some updated pictures recently, and it's giving me the plastic sweats. Centurions wasn't the highest priority cartoon when I was a kid, but for some reason my brother and I did have a few of the figures. That reason probably being, Mom, can I have this? It looks neat. Why not? Why? I'll clean my room. I'll vacuum. I'll be good. I can? Yay! I had Hacker and the Land Centurion Stone Boulderson, or whatever that is, and my brother had Doc Terror and Ace McCloud. I remember the villain names and the Air Commander because Ace McCloud is a little on the nose, but I can never remember the land or the water. Oh, it was Jake Rockwell. Rock. Get it? Anyway, I've got both versions of Antagonist Cyborg. I have the Land Drone. I'm waiting for the next release of, what do they call the land? Jackson Stone. I may be in for Alex McKinner, and then I'm definitely getting this. Just look at this thing. It grabs onto the nostalgia bone and doesn't let go. I'm gonna have a hard time picking between the two versions. There's weathered and there's cartoon. Obviously, one is dirty, has a wash to it. The other is clean. So it evokes different emotions depending on your attachment to these characters. Now, the weathered is always shown with the screaming head, and the clean is always shown with the smiling. I'm not sure if both heads are included with each individual release, or if those are exclusive to each, but well, there's plenty of time to find out. There's no pre-orders yet. My only problem with this, besides it not being in my grubby little hands at this exact moment, is when you compare it to Antagonist Cyborg. You put them side by side. And when I mean side by side, I mean rip the other halves of their bodies off and just plug them together. Doc has detailed eye paints and skin shading and a sharper sculpt overall, which makes Hacker look outdated. But Antagonist Cyborg is sold out on the Ramen site. So could we see an update to that at some time in the future? I don't think they've talked about that at all, but well, I'd like to see some extra detail to some of those parts. We saw the NECA Sesame Street Bert and Ernie way back at San Diego Comic-Con, but pre-orders went live this week, so there's pretty promotional pictures. Now, I'll admit to not being the biggest puppet fan, but I did watch my fair share way back in the day. But iconic characters are iconic characters, and it is hard to pass up beautiful representations of iconic characters. These were impressive as all hell behind a piece of glass at the show, but for some reason they look even better in the press photos. Seriously, I was mindlessly scrolling the other day when I ran across one of these pictures and I thought, somebody's excited about Bert and Ernie posting pictures from the show itself. And then I saw another and another, and I thought, oh, wait, let me get to my computer, because on the phone, and I'm old and blind, I didn't see the articulation and everything, but getting up closer, these are the figures. The sculpt does a fantastic job of translating felt to plastic. The colors are nice and vibrant. The personalities are on full display. I'm going to go ahead and say that these are the best representations of these characters you can get. The only way I can even imagine these looking better is soft goods and flocking. And we all know my feelings about flocking. And there's so many things at play whenever you introduce that kind of thing to an action figure. The soft goods may be big and bulky, or the felt may be too heavy, obscuring some of the sculpt. You just never know. Plus, it depends on if you're a fan of that or this or that. So, to me, these are about as good as you can get. And we already know the count is on the way, so hopefully this line has a long lifespan. We're going to see a lot of characters. All the characters. It was just last week that Kyoto posted their reveal picture for the Amazing Yamaguchi DC Batman Beyond. This week, we're treated to the full photo spread. First glance, I was all, okay, that is way too busy. What is even going on here? It's hard to beat the cleanness of the classic costume. Seeing it in action, I still think that, but man, is it impressive in all its brain-glitching complexity. And it's pretty on brand for Revoltech, the most complicated of articulation schemes out there. Plus, you can't deny it's right up Amazing Yamaguchi's alley. It's over-designed. Beautifully, I guess. And when I think of some previous figures where it's a cleaner base body, the joints and the cuts are a lot more prominent. This does a lot to hide that aspect. And yes, I'm just repeating myself from other releases that were all cut up and segmented and armor plates and grooves and colors and everything, but it's true. And as someone reminded me last week, this series is constantly evolving those joints. It's still wacky if you don't do a lot of imports, but they do tweak things here and there, sometimes for the worse, but a lot of times for the better. If nothing else though, those wings are way better than they have any right to be. Look at that pose. That is worth the price of admission alone. The arm blades are also amazing looking, but those are exclusive to the Kyoto store. We see that a lot with newer releases. It's usually a faceplate or something. Here, it's a cool looking weapon. That's kind of a shame. What it comes down to is you, whether you're a fan of the look, the feel of Amazing Yamaguchi, how the movement reacts to you manipulating it, which can be overwhelming. There's been figures in the past where I'm like, I hate this line, but then I'll pick it back up later, or replace those Hellspawn capes with cloth to help me enjoy the figures a lot more. But if not, there's other Batman Beyonds out there. It's just what you're wanting out of your toys. I'm a little late to the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse pictures that's been roaming the mean toy streets lately, but they're too good to pass up, so we're swinging back around. It's mostly new looks at figures we saw at SDCC, but there's also a little newness. First, Fisto. I can't make that work. I either didn't realize or don't remember that the hammer weapon comes apart so you have different options for Fisto's forearm. I need to quit doing this when talking about Fisto, don't I? You can either have the big metal hand, or the studded ball situation, or the pointy contraption. But his name's Fisto, not Meso or Spike or it's Fisto. So for me, if I were to get this figure, Fist all day, every day. Hey, did someone say fists? Because there's also Flying Fists He-Man. This was one of my favorites as a kid. I had this, my brother had Terror Claws, but the weapons are neat, the spinning, but more than anything, it was this. And I feel like I'm nailing it, right? Is this exactly what they did? I love the gold, I love the armor, I love the accessories, but yeah, it was this. Also a better look at Evil Lyn with that perfect mix of vintage and cartoon and modernization. And I know I say that about the cartoon collection, but that's more cartoon based. This feels like a new version of the vintage figure itself with a little bit of flair to it. Now, all these popping up before actual solicitations is nothing new when it comes to Mattel Masters of the Universe. We see this a lot from mostly overseas stores. And it's usually nothing new. It's figures we've seen before, just posed all pretty for promotional pictures. But it's when we get pictures of unannounced figures where things get juicy. Now, I don't usually deal with leaks when they're text form, or, hey, I found this on some site over here. It's actual pictures. Look, it's Skeletor, Vintage Collection Skeletor. Finally, after 2 years, they are re-releasing that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 2-pack version. The He-Man from that set released directly afterwards, I think, but I've been waiting for this because I didn't get that set. I was at San Diego. I was looking at the Mattel booth going, man, I sure would like those figures with the die-cast swords and such, but weren't meant to be. And I think the only differences here is no die-cast for the weapon, since I just mentioned that, and the color scheme. Slightly in most places. I think the skin tone may be a little brighter, and then the purple of the gear may be a little darker. That's hard to tell from promotional images because of the lighting, the settings, everything else. The crossbones on the chest are definitely metallic this go around, and then the jewel in the middle of that is not painted. But the biggest difference is the face paint on the skull itself. Instead of the neon yellow and green gloss glow of the first release, the new one is still yellow and green, but it's washed to give it a bit more realism. You know, as realistic as a huge, muscular, blue-skinned, skull-faced villain gets. At first I thought it was a new sculpt, because in all these promo images, the jaw is shut, whereas all the promo images for the San Diego set, the jaw is wide open. But I also didn't realize that the jaw was articulated. I went and checked Pixel Dan's review of the San Diego set Skeletor, and he does close it at some point, and I do feel like the sculpt matches this new Vintage Collection release. So yeah, same sculpt, slightly tweaked colors, better face paint, Papa John's. Then there's also the name, Vintage Collection. He-Man was re-released under the name 40th Anniversary, but that was 2 years ago. They can't use that now. So is this a one-off? Just throw that title on there to get that Skeletor out? Or is this going to be a new sub-series within Masterverse? Are they going to make another trip around the track for all the same characters in order to re-release them in kind of a vintage figure vibe? But isn't that new Eternia at the moment with concept items and looks thrown in? I have no clue. Let's get past the evil Lord of Destruction. We'll deal with the rest later. Hey, did you see the Four Horsemen's fairly faithful take on Frankenstein's creature for their Figura Obscura line? I almost hate to bring this up because this wasn't revealed until after the last rewind, or exactly when the rewind went live on YouTube last Saturday. There it went up for sale as in stock on Saturday, and then on Sunday, and then sold out both times. But here I am on Friday recording this rewind, and they've just posted it live again for what they say is the last sale. And as I'm recording this right now, it is available. So if you click the link in the description on Saturday and it's sold out, I can't predict the future. I don't know how many are for sale. I don't know when it's going to sell out, but don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here talking about toys that catch my eye, and this caught my eye. Just look at this thing. It's yucky. Yes, it's so good that it's making a grown man say yucky. Well, grown man in body and mind sometimes, but definitely not in spirit. In spirit, I'm a kid in a candy shop just looking at everything, but knowing that I can't eat all the candy at the same time. So I can look, I can go to each bin, and it's like, oh, ooh, ah, look at that, ah. But I only have enough money and enough time pick and choose. What I'm trying to say is, I didn't order this, but I have come back to these pictures more than a few times this week. There's always been something to look at. The stitching, the options, jacket, no jacket, hair, no hair, different heads. It's beautiful. Plus you gotta love 1/6 Shooter's photography. Trevor killed it in this set. Don't get me wrong, I want it. But priorities, my friends. priorities. Because something else caught my eye and wallet this week. As most of you know, I recently fell down the Mythic Legions rabbit hole, or more accurately, I was nudged. You know how it is, you're minding your own business, you see a toy line that's been going on for a while that looks a little daunting, a little intimidating, because there's been so much before, and if you jump in now, it's like, I don't know what the base bodies are, and I don't know who this is, and I can't say that name, what's that? But you still like to look because it's toys, and you even talk about it every now and then. But finally somebody runs up to you and goes, hey, you ever take a hit on that? And you're all, oh, well, one can't hurt. Maybe two. Yeah, these, okay. Oh, look at the swapping. These are amazing! You know, tale as old as time. And that's what happened to me. Now I'm heading to Legions Con, and I have pre-ordered the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Stavros the Unwavering. I'm still green though. I don't know if this is reuse. I feel like I've seen this design before, but it's in Big Bad Toy Store motif. So that makes it even more tempting. It's a kick-ass dragon that'll go nicely with my couple of knights and skeleton. And I'm still being very reserved with this line. I'm not just going, okay, everything that's come before, click. No, I can't do that. I collect enough stuff that has gotten out of hand. Mostly because I've been doing it for years and years and years. You know, suddenly one day you look around and go, God, how have I acquired this many figures? And where am I going to put all these? Here it's all fresh and new, and I can be very meticulous. I can think it out before and just go, oh, okay. There. But come back in a couple of years and we'll see where we're at. Anyway, Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Mythic Legions Stavros the Unwavering. This is part of their 25th anniversary celebration. 25 years of BBTS. Just like and I'm going to do this because there's nothing McFarlane to talk about today, the Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challengers Big Bad Toy Store 25th Anniversary exclusive M. Bison Player 2 version. Pretty self-explanatory here. It's M. Bison in Player 2 colors, exclusive to Big Bad Toy Store for their 25th anniversary line from Jada Toys. Oh, I forgot Street Fighter 2, the new Challengers Ultra Super Deluxe. It's M. Bison in a different color scheme. We already know the base figure is amazing. It's been released for a couple of months now. So it's just a matter of, hey, does blue appeal to you on an M. Bison figure? It just makes sense as a variant. And it's part of a celebration. Nothing wrong with that. Big Bad Toy Store's anniversary sales and reveals are going to run over the next 25 days. Or however many days are left in the 25-day celebration whenever this posts. So we'll keep an eye out, see if there's anything else 6-inch. Either way, link is in the description. But while we're in the video game realm, Hiya Toys solicited their, Contra Operation Galuga, Exquisite Basic Bill Riser and Lance Bean. I thought I could do that, but nope, the running gag continues on. Well, I call it a running gag. It's mostly, I can't remember all those words in that order at the same time. Running gag is actually terrible memory. I think these were revealed a couple of months back, but it was hot on the heels of San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a lot of toy news there, so I somehow skipped these. In fact, I think they were in the diamond case, right? Maybe? Again, so much plastic. But hey, what do we always say? No. Yes, kinda. But no, we always say we'll swing back around to it next week. Or in this case, next month. But here they are in all their modern callback to classic glory. In poses, these shine. It's a blonde guy in blue, a blue-haired guy in red. There's crazy guns and blast effects, the flying capsules, and those power-up icons. They're so good, so nostalgic feeling that it's got me wanting to tab up, down, left, right, BA start. Did I actually do it? Up, down, left, right, BA start. After all these years. I used to play Nintendo so much that when I went to bed, and I'm sure a lot of us did this, but I'd be laying in bed just thumbs moving, not realizing it. But then you get the figures into vanilla poses and You know where I'm going here. Those head sizes are so small, so weird looking, so wrong. So, wait, they're accurate to the game? And that's essentially an updated version of the classic Contra game with new things thrown in? Sure, I have my mental image of what figures should look like. I have my preferences when it comes to proportions, but I can't expect that from every line, especially when it comes to accuracy. If this is what they look like in the game, who am I to argue that? To demand that would skew these from what they're trying to be, action figures based on a certain product. And I'm still a virgin when it comes to Hiya Toys. I guess Exquisite Basic is 1/12 scale, but no soft goods, since Exquisite Super is 1/12 scale and cloth clothes. Should these be my first? Or, in the grand scheme of things, should I stop allowing nostalgia so much power over my purchases? Maybe I'll play this newer Contra game and go from there. See how I feel after that. Yeah, that's the plan, because I always go and watch the properties and play the games and such. Since I'm talking out of my ass about video games I haven't played in 35 years or have never played before, here is the Bandai SH Figuarts Tekken 8 Nina Williams. I remember the game, but it was mostly just wandering through the living room watching roommates play it. I wasn't really into it from what I remember. I remember King, and I think this line is developing a king. I think I saw that on social somewhere. But we're talking about Nina here. I'm approaching this figure as just a swell-looking female spy or agent of some kind that I can use anywhere if I were to get this figure. Again, I can't just buy everything. It's impossible these days. But I'm saying if I did, this would give Black Widow and Captain America a run for their money, either as a partner or a competitor. Or opponent, I guess. I'm not sure how much movement the skirt allows, but from the few pictures we do have, there's action to the legs. So maybe it does get out of the way. If you're a Tekken fan and interested in this, pre-orders go up next week. But Bandai brings us back around to the SH Figuarts Beetlejuice. We talked about this a few weeks ago during the initial movie hype, along with the Mezco version and the NECA version. But NECA and Mezco were full pre-orders. We knew everything that was coming with those. Bandai only posted a couple of moody lit teaser pictures. And at that time I said the NECA was going to be the nice budget version, Mezco was the expensive bells and whistles, and then the Figuarts would be your fiddle figure. I also said the Bandai version looked off, that it was too clean, that it looked like a live action version of animated Beetlejuice, and that it was my least favorite of the three. This week we got all the promotional images, and I was wrong. Not about it being clean, I still think that, but it's not as clean in the proper studio lighting. I can see some dirtiness, some grime, some grunge. And it comes with more stuff than I thought it would, with the sign and Barb's gravestone. Remember me saying something about companies getting together in order to, hey, we're gonna get them with this, and you can get them with that, and you do this, and I'll do that, and this and that. How are there no repeat accessories between the Mezco and the Figuarts? What's the chances of that happening? My initial decision was to go with the Mezco, but now that I've seen everything here, I think I'm going with the Figuarts. Maybe it's because I've had more time to think. It's not a snap decision based on pictures that were posted that morning, and then I get in front of the camera and it's like, what am I gonna do? But I think I'm going with this. This seems like the best option to put on the shelf, have it surrounded by some cool accessories, but also pulling it off the shelf, messing around with it, putting it in pictures, just turning off my brain for a bit at the desk and just, yeah. Finally, another figure that catches my eye and is super tempting is this Medi Toys Tiger guy. There's not a lot of details at this moment, just these two pictures. But if the style seems familiar, it's because this coincided with the announcement that Memory Toys is now Medi Toys. Yeah, Memory Toys. They produced War Bear, which was fantastic, and they've only gotten better since. Why the name change? I'm purely speculating here, but as good as they are with their own designs, the anthropomorphic warriors, they've also made other figures that kind of skirt the boundaries of copyright infringements. So maybe they flew a little too close to the sun and then, whoop, we gotta back up. Memory Toys? Who's that? I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of third-party companies and the legalities involved and everything else. I just see pictures of toys and go, oh, look, plastic is pretty. Look at the paint and the sculpt. It looks great. Makes me want to ramble. And that's the whole point of this channel, really. And that's all I got for this week. Like I said, nothing from Hasbro, nothing from McFarlane, but we shouldn't have to wait too awful long for that. As always, special thanks to the Nobots, the Patreon. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this kind of thing on a weekly basis. So, much love. The wind beneath my wings. I posted some work-in-progress customs over there. I'm getting a lot of 3D printed kits for figures. And my eyes are getting a little too big for my stomach because they all came in at the same time. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's piece this. Oh, this one. I want to jump to this one. And boy, that can get intimidating. That can get, oh, well, I have all this stuff. I can't do it. I'll wait till tomorrow. Have to buckle down, finish one at a time. It's always a struggle to get to the paint part. But once I get there, that's my finish line. That's when I start enjoying the custom, the work involved. That's my fun day, because I don't have to run day. In the recent play day, I mentioned that I had a pinched nerve. I'm on the mend. I'm feeling much better these days. But at that time, I got a lot of paint done because I paint like this. And this was the best position to not have my arm hurting, my shoulder hurting, my other arm hurting. It relieved the tension. It wasn't pinching the nerve, I guess. So doing this. But that also meant I was sleeping in my computer chair a lot and watching a lot of miniature painters, the Warhammer crowd, and holy moly. I feel like I've only scratched the surface when it comes to customizing because there's so much involved. There's so many other methods and techniques that I want to try out. And that can be daunting too. That kind of gets me, oh, well, do I need to order these paints? What kind of brush do I use? A texture pad? A wet palette? Ah! So there may be more tutorials coming up. Or maybe not so much tutorials, more like, hey, I've been dry brushing wrong for 30 years now. Or I shouldn't have been afraid of washes all this time, because here it is. Here's how it's done. They've reformulated this paint or that paint, and it's so much easier and stuff now. So I'll still be doing reviews, but I'm having a lot more fun with that aspect. And this, just talking about upcoming toys, stuff to buy. That's always fun. But anyway, I'll see you next week. Go have fun on your weekend. Enjoy. Goodbye. No, shit.